Hey gang, first off I want to apologize. I have a terrible, terrible cold. So if you hear any sneezing, coughing, or nose blowing, I really want to apologize about that. Feeling under the weather, but wanted to do another video as I haven't done one in quite a few months, and just kind of let you know where we stand on the build for the pack and also what I've been up to otherwise. As well as talking about other stuff that's been happening in the GB fandom. First off, the pack hasn't had too much movement since the last time I showed it to you on Halloween. Hoping that Nick has a minute to figure out the rest of the problems we're having with the electronics, and I can get it back here. Figure out how I'm going to reattach the motherboard correctly. I'm sorry, the Alice frame, and then finish painting it and getting all the pieces on it and reinforcing the pieces that need to be reinforced. But I have had a few pieces that have come in, and I've been working on in the interim. So I thought I would talk about them. One of the first things I wanted to talk about was the '84 Hasbro one that came out. So I'm a big fan of what Hasbro has been doing as far as all the Ghostbusters stuff that's been coming out. You know, I have multiple Spengler wands. I think I have the one that's on the modded Spirit 80%. I have the one that's on my HasLab. I have another HasLab that has another wand to it, and I think I have another one. So I have 4 of those all together, and I think that they're awesome. And I was really, really pumped when they came out. They ended up coming out with this guy, which is the '84 version, which is ostensibly just the exact same thrower, with basically the molded handles that we had in GB1 and GB2. It functions all the same. I'm not going to do any kind of like comparison. You can see that anywhere else. But I think the biggest thing is, like, do you need to buy this thing? And there's a few things I want to go over with it real fast, and just kind of letting you know what I think. First things first. If you have the Spengler thrower and you're working on your own pack, or you're going to eventually build your own wand, there's no reason to buy this thing. Functions exactly the same, and there's things that are kind of disappointing with it. As I'll go through right quick. The one thing that really bothered me out of the gate was the I'll say weathering here on the handles, especially here with these triangles, and then here. So what this is trying to mimic is, if you don't know, the GB1 throwers, they had an orange resin handle, and they were painted over, so as that paint came off, you saw it underneath. Some people think it's wood. I'm a pretty firm believer that it was a resin, orange resin, and that's what was peeking through. These weathering patterns, especially on top, are just horrific, because if you were going to start seeing them come through, it would be more through here, not in perfect triangles here where your hand is going. Your hand would be weathering that off, not here. So that seems ridiculous. They also painted this part, which was on the Spengler one. They painted this red, and you can see they painted it as a circle. Now this piece is supposed to be red, and that wash underneath is supposed to be silver, so you're gonna have to mess with that. All of my Spengler wands were pre-orange tip, so this one does have the orange tip, which bothers me immensely, but silver paint pens, people are telling me we can mod that. The banjos are very loose and not hanging as naturally as the one from the Spengler goes, as well as this tube here seems to want to like come this way, and if you grab it, it's just naturally going that way. So hopefully over time I can get that thing to bend through. Functionality, I may have batteries in this, but I'm not going to go through all of that right now. But functionality, it's exactly the way the Spengler one was. The one thing that really drives me nervous about it, and generally with my Hasbro stuff, I try to keep it relatively stock, just because, it's a collectible, and unless I'm like trying to make it like on a pack that I'm going to troop with or something like that, or wear on Halloween or to an event, I won't generally mod them unless I have multiples of them. With this, it's screaming the mod. So the thing that bothers me, that makes me like just bananas over it, is this clipboard here. If you look at this clipboard, it is longer than the one on a Spengler wand. But the thing that makes me even more is that if you look at it, it's conical. And I believe that this clipboard fake that's on this, clipboard replica, I should say, that's on this is from the Spengler pack. And I'm sorry, the actual HasLab Spengler pack. The reason I think so is that if you remember the Adam Savage video where he talks about putting a new label on there and it wasn't lining up correctly, he realized it was conical and there was a draft to it for when it come out of the mold. You can see, obviously, in this, there is a draft to it. It is a cone and not a cylinder. So that's just making me want to throw a real clipboard valve in there really, really bad. Valentine's coming up. Maybe asking the wife that says nothing says I love you like a clipboard valve, and maybe that comes up. Apart from this weathering, which it's actually textured. I mean, it really wants to come off. It wants me to take it off. Other thing that drives me, balloons, is that you have this seam here, which you can really feel. It was there on the shotgun barrel of the Spengler, but it feels a lot. You feel a lot there, and also, just screaming for me to sand it down, fill it, and repaint it. So, and also all the bits and bobs here that were here to give it like a blistering effect on the Spengler one are there. It doesn't bother me that much. If I was to sand it down and totally repaint it and all that, this being black makes me want to do some work to it as well. I'm not sure exactly what I'm going to do, how much I'm going to do to this, how much I'm going to invest. Ideally, I was just like, hey, listen, I have so many of these things in different forms now. It would be cool just to have one that maybe I even built the stand for it, which I never did for any of the Spengler ones. But I built a stand for this, and as Jim Maritano says, it doesn't even support itself under its own weight. It just starts bending. So that stand is quite a piece of junk. So I would stay away from that. Bottom line is, if I would have saw this, if I was where I was 10 years ago and I saw this on the shelf, I would be over the moon for it. This is great. But getting to what we had with the Spengler version of this, and then also where we are with the state of the hobby as far as like doing replicas and stuff like that. This is not, don't have FOMO about this. They're sold out now. Don't be like, oh, I need to get this thing. I need to be able to have one of these. I wouldn't go crazy over it. I've seen people do mods to these grip deletes and stuff like that. 3D things go over this that look just as good, if not better. Unless you're going to do a teardown and a mod on this, I wouldn't necessarily think that it has to be in your collection unless you're a completist. But again, that's all up to you. I wouldn't be jumping over the moon to get this thing. It feels very much like a toy. It looks a lot more like a toy than the Spengler version does. I mean, with some love, we can get this thing shining, but I don't think you have to go, crazy looking for it. But that's just my opinion. I thought I'd give it. Another thing just that I found in the wild, looking at Ghostbusters news and stuff like that, they identified the new radio that's on the belts of I think the Winston is the person they saw that they identified this from. This is a Baofeng, Baofeng UV5 with an extended battery. This is the radio that's hanging off their belts. It comes with a charger, all that kind of stuff, and also comes with a belt clip that you have to install via these two screws, which means no holster, which would be fun for trooping, all that kind of stuff, events and all that. People are finding that there are tape that goes on the antenna as well as the base. I've not messed with that yet. One of the really key things you have to look at on this is that Ben Eady did a video, one of the prop masters for Afterlife, and I'm assuming that he has something to do with Frozen Empire, is that this is a ham radio and you can mess things up as far as hospitals, stuff like that. I'm petrified to turn it on. I'm hoping the batteries just die and I can switch this thing on and play with the knobs and nothing happened. But apparently you can mess things up. So don't buy one of these. Just turn it on and try to send and receive things without actually looking into how they function, because it is a ham radio. Ham, H-A-M. I know I'm rambling on a lot. I'm finishing up here, doing some mods. This is the Walmart trap that you've all seen probably 100 times if you looked at this video. I did saw off the fake transistor or resistor, whatever this is, put a real one on. I realized this isn't the correct one, but this is just something I'm looking to use as a belt hanger. And I am getting a new piece set over here, which was a sticker. I'm actually having a piece 3D printed with Nick. He 3D printed, resin printed the correct knob here, as well as the correct knob over here. So these guys are there, and they're not glued on yet, but they will be. And we're going to replace this loom with a thinner loom and a new outpiece. And I'll kind of explain why. Here's a pedal that I'm working on with the Charlesworth Dynamics kit. Had Nick 3D print all this with 100% infill. This feels real good. Ended up buying the vector plate through GB Fans. Only 10 bones for the vector and aluminum vector plate, which is really, really cheap. There are a couple things that I'm working through in the fact that this is wider than a 3D print, and that's one of the reasons. One of the connectors for the ribbon cable goes over here. I realize that we'll have a switch here, but the accordion thing, forgive me, the bellows or whatever you want to call it underneath, I want to make sure it clears this. So I'm having Nick shave off about 1/4 of an inch of this just so it goes through. If you look here, you can see that I have a connection. Realize it's not brass or screen accurate, but this will actually be able to have a piece of 10-foot cable go through this. There'll be another one that goes onto the end of the trap, and we'll be able to disconnect these. Found a really, really great thread on GB Fans forum on how to do that. Got a old 3D printed banjo. Was able to get that looking pretty good. Made myself, I just found one of these screws, which is sort of like one that would be like a light fixture for a ground that was in silver. Cut a slot in it with my Dremel, not exactly centered, but good enough. And this will go through with a switch here, through there, click, put this thing on, that there, thinner loom, and we'll be in good shape. One of the weird things is with this, I know it's not the right ITT relay, but it's the one that came with the Charlesworth Dynamics kit. So I'm not sure, like, Nick's 3D printing this piece for me, because this is one has a lot of cleanup work that needs to be done, and we can, he's doing better work now. I'm just trying to figure out should I clip some of these things, because they're not lining up with these holes. So trying to figure that part out there. I think that's about it. This is just kind of fun, kind of thing that happened was, I picked up just like for just like $1 or $2, like this old pint, glass liquor bottle, and Jarius on GB Fans had, put this artwork as far as the bottled liquor that Peter and Ray are sharing, on the Columbia steps there, talking about, call it fate, call it karma, call it luck, put that through, and just took my time, cut it out, sized it to be for this bottle. It's the incorrect bottle, and hopefully I'll find the correct bottle at some point, but just size it out, print it out on printer paper, cut it out, and just glue stick it on, and it's a lot of fun. It's just a neat little thing. But that's about it for what I have to share with you guys tonight. There's a ton of great stuff I've been listening to and watching as far as we've been moving forward with all of this stuff into this hobby and getting more and more involved. Some of the stuff I've been listening to is that there's 2 dudes that are really, really, really into super screen accurate stuff, way more than I am or will ever be. I used to be a screen accurate guy when I was a younger man, but I kind of graduated into that. That's good enough, But these 2 dudes our buddies there. Check out the Black Firehouse podcast if you're looking for something to listen to about guys just talking about the minutia and the celebration of that minutia as far as Ghostbusters prop buildings, prop building. I'm sorry again, I'm not feeling well. But they have guests that have had access to to seeing the screw use packs, pulling them apart, prop stuff like that. It's amazing. Another great Ghostbusters centric podcast, probably my favorite one, next to Black Firehouse, is Extraplasm. Give them a listen on whatever podcast thing that you're going with. It comes out every Wednesday. It's at least an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours of solid Ghostbusters content. Very professionally, production is great, and the host, who's I believe his name was Jim Arentato. I know his handle is Vink Maniac on Instagram and stuff like that. But it's super great. On YouTube, there's this great Proton pack is not a toy, but it's got a Matt Swain. He does breakdowns of the packs and like how to put the differences and stuff like that. A ton of great stuff. And if you're on Instagram and looking for stuff, look at Project Proton Pack. It's my buddy Brad from Australia. I'm not just plugging this because I don't know these people personally. We don't hang out and have sandwiches and beers after work. I'm just in this hobby and trying to learn as much as I can and figure out what the next steps are with anything else that I have. Just really great references. But check them out. And thank you guys for watching. I know that I very rarely post stuff nowadays, but again, I'm going to try to do better and hopefully get that pack done as soon as possible. Looking forward to this Frozen Empire. We got so much cool stuff ahead of us as far as this fandom goes. So thanks so much for watching, and I'll talk to y'all soon.